And so in your opinion, like, how does a woman figure out what's actually true for her in this space? Health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, that's just like so loud, but can be very contradictory.
Yeah. I think knowledge is always the first place that we need to go to, and we got to be careful where we're getting that from. Like, I know a lot of people will get information from TikTok or even like Instagram or things like that. And there are people who are giving good information on
Yeah,
there. I'm not saying that
absolutely.
there's not, but there's also a lot of people who might not be, especially because nowadays with the algorithm, like I was talking about this other day, when I first started posting things on social media, there were no reels. You would post a photo, and I would post some educational caption about healthy fats, why they were important, what they do for your body, the different types, and some food sources that you could incorporate. And like that was that.
Yeah.
And now it's this, I call it like a monkey dance to try to get a hold of the algorithm and get someone's attention and get this and get that.
So, you know, when you told me earlier this week, compare yourself to your past self, I went back in my old camera rolls and looked at pictures of myself from like almost 10 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. And I was just like hiding from myself, so filled with cortisol, inflamed. And I looked like a different person. Like, it was shocking. And it's so crazy because it's true. Like, when you lose context or you don't understand week to week how far you've come, to look back and really remember how you were before any sort of real concern for health started to kick in is impactful.
It's so crazy. I bring that up with clients all the time with check-ins, with like the physical. But if you even think about it, like when you were super inflamed back then, you think about what were your habits like? Like, were you sleeping properly? Were you nourishing your body? Were you exercising? Were you getting outside and getting sunshine? Like, were you overworking? Were you stressed all the time?
Yep.
And you think of like, were your thoughts really negative? All of those things that were happening that kind of dictate your actions. And when I'm doing check-ins with clients, I'll point out obviously the physical that changes, but I also say the way that you talked about this is a completely different way to view it. The way that you carried yourself through like the wedding that you went to last weekend, and you didn't stress over things, and you didn't spiral into an all or nothing, and you enjoyed the experience and you didn't stress about it. Like, that's, I would argue, the most important progress, because you're showing up differently. Like, you're thinking differently, you're carrying yourself differently. And with that, the physical is going to change. So we don't even really have to focus on the physical nearly as much as people think. Because if you change how you think about things and that little habits and the decisions that you make, the physical progress just takes care of itself.
That's so true.
It totally is. But it's really cool to look back on the photos, like I was saying, as you look back and you compare, because, you know, from day to day, you don't see those changes. You're with yourself all the time, or even like month to month, you don't always notice that as much. So you're able to take that step back and notice, okay, whoa, my body composition is completely different, because it takes time to be able to change that. But then you are looking at those photos and you're right back in that moment and the maybe emotions of it or where you were at in that time, and you're able to see, whoa, I got myself out of something that maybe wasn't the best way to handle my body or think about things. And I feel like that's where so much of the just empowerment from going on a fitness journey comes from.
Yeah.
It's like that person that you become. And like, yeah, you get confidence from like how you look, because you feel like your external exemplifies or shows like who you are on the inside. Like, if you're hardworking and you're strong, you want your physique to show that, and it communicates that with people. It's kind of like the first idea that people get of who you are. But the mental side, that's my favorite part of the transformation.
Yeah. And it's so connected, right? Like, it's not flat out vain to want to care about how you look and how you present yourself in this world. It is a reflection of how you treat yourself internally.
Yeah.
And it should be a source of pride, how you show up in the world and how you bring your energy to a space, but also the actual vessel that you fill and what that looks like and how you can fine tune it and how you can actually like challenge yourself. It's a marker of your discipline. It's a marker of how much you value who you are and what you do every day.
Yeah. I feel like with people being on their fitness journey, they first get into it for the aesthetic part of it. And I love that you said, I don't think it's bad to have a aesthetic goal, because I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's bad if you sacrifice your health and living your life in that body that you're working so hard for. I think that's bad. But having a physical goal and setting those goals and those standards for yourself, I think that's great, because then you're able to set those standards. But you want to think about it from this view of, okay, how do I want to look? Number one, is that healthy for me too? If I want to be super skinny, tiny, shriveled, not healthy, been there, done that, not a good spot. So we think of that. Or if someone wants to be like crazy jacked and muscular, is, well, do you want to do the things that it takes to get to whatever goal you set?
Yeah.
Not only to get there, but to maintain that. Like, do you want to be that person? Do you want to have that lifestyle? Do you want to train like that? Do you want to eat like that? And you get to decide all of those other aspects, and you think about those outside of just the physical. So a lot of people only focus on that, but they're not thinking about, who do I have to become in the process to get there? Like, well, I just want to snap my fingers and get there. And that's where I think diet culture and all the quick fixes has just really preyed on people, and they've made it think that it's just as easy as, you don't really have to put in work. You don't have to change. You can just take this pill or inject this thing or do this 30-day juice cleanse, whatever, and like, boom, you got it. And it completely makes people skip over what I would argue is the most important part of actually going on this fitness journey, or I don't even really love to call it that, because it's a lifestyle. It's the rest of your life. You want to move your body and eat well and take care of this one body that you're going to experience the rest of your life in. So learning how to value that and how to do it, but learning how to be someone who sets big goals and does what they say they're going to do, even when it's inconvenient, even when they need to pivot, even when it doesn't look perfect, even when they're not motivated, even when it's not hard. We need that to reach those physical goals and then the health goals that you set. But all of those things are how you're going to accomplish anything else in life. If you want to have a good marriage, if you want to raise your kids well, if you want to start a business or do well with your job or have good relationships, anything, you need that.
Yeah.
You need to have discipline. You need to believe in yourself. You need to be able to have some structure and do things when you don't feel like it. So that's why people say, like, your fitness journey is this gateway to personal development. And that's why it bothers me so much that people want to skip that part.
Yeah.
Because that's the best part of it all. And then just the side thing is like, yeah, you look great. And yeah, you're super fit and healthy. Like, we love all those too. But the person that you become, like, getting into fitness and all of this is why I am who I am today. And I know for a fact I would not be here if I hadn't actually gone all in on saying, I want to set these goals and I want to pursue those and I want to do what it takes and become who I need to reach them.
Yeah. And I want to kind of emphasize that and use it as a pathway to introduce you, because you're Laini Gibson. You are an amazing fitness and nutrition coach. You're my fitness and nutrition coach, and we've worked together for the last 15, 16 months, and it's been truly a pleasure. And I'm so happy to have you here as my first ever guest on the Throughline podcast. So thank you so much, just while I have the floor. But to touch upon why you went on your fitness journey. So what was going on in your life? I'm just going to repeat that. What was going on in your life that incited you to take your health into your hands, to take your own well-being into your hands?
I love that question, and thank you for having me. It is such an honor to be here as your first guest. I started wanting to try to get into exercise and eating healthy to change my body towards the end of high school is when I started to become a little bit more aware that I maybe didn't look as like fit or toned. I didn't really know that word back then, as maybe some of the girls who, looking back, like, they played sports, so they had muscle. I didn't know that. And I kind of wanted to look like that. I didn't play any sports. I had a concussion when I was little, so I just did school. I loved school. That's how I was competitive. So I started trying to get into it, and I would do like the Pinterest workouts, like little arm circles to tone your shoulders or things that don't actually work, and little diets. And I'd kind of do things or maybe go for a run and not really be consistent. But I knew that that was something that I needed to do, but I just didn't know what to do. So then I kept trying things, and I fell into a lot of the traps that a lot of women do with diet culture and just the quick fixes and bad information and bad role models. And it led me down a pretty bad path. I was still committed to trying to get to my goals. Like, I never said I'm just fully done. I just kind of lost my way a little bit. I struggled with my relationship with food. I actually developed an eating disorder, my relationship with exercise and the scale and all those things that so many women struggle with. And eventually I got to a point where I said, this is miserable. Enough is enough. I knew how unhealthy it was for my body. Like, I was getting all those signs, like I was fatigued, I was bloated, I felt so weak in my workouts. I was thinking about food all the time. I would restrict and then I would overeat. And I was so stressed about all of these things. And I was like, well, this is supposed to add so much positive to my life, and it's not. So like I said, I love school. I love learning. I love knowledge and just consuming as much as I can. So I said, okay, I'm going to educate myself here. I'm going to find what are the actual good sources to go to find this information and figure out what am I doing wrong and what do I need to change? Because I care about this so much. I understand that it's important. I just don't know the right strategy yet. So I dove into as much information as I could, reading research papers, and Instagram wasn't really a huge thing at the time. It was like maybe YouTube or books, and loved it. I eventually changed my major to exercise science, and like, I went up to the biggest dude in the gym and I was like, hey, can you teach me how to lift weights? Like, just anything that I could find to help me. And as I learned more of the science behind things, as I got into lifting weights and I understood nutrition more and how to actually set your calorie target appropriately, and that protein was important, and eating your vegetables is important too, and all of those things, and rest days. And the more that I learned and just applied the science and just saw all of the changes, it, like, everything changed, like, just on top of each other. Like, the minute I did that, it just kind of snowballed, and it just kind of felt like it was this upward trajectory from there. So that's why I'm so passionate about, like, the education side of things.
Yeah.
Because I tried a lot of the BS information that was out there that's not backed by science. And I can see that now, but I didn't know. So at this point, I just want to be able to help as many women who are either trying to get started and they're so confused because there's so much bad and conflicting information, or I work a lot with women who have been trying. They have been trying different workout styles or different diets, and maybe they're consistent and they're really not getting where they want, and their relationship with food or their health or their body is not in a good spot.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just keep falling off because what they're trying is not sustainable and they can't enjoy their life. So what I want to do is take all of and I kind of like glossed all over it, but it was awful when I was struggling through all of that for a couple of years. And I just want to help as many women as possible either avoid those mistakes that I made, or if they are in that, understand it is not your fault. It's your responsibility to get out of there, but you can have help with that. And I want to help as many women as I can, just pull them up out of that and empower them with that knowledge so they can not only transform their body the way that they want, but do so in a way that's actually enjoyable and healthy and is something that they can see themselves doing for the rest of their life.
Yeah. And that frustration that you talked about that you went through and that you know a lot of the women you work with and speak to go through is something I've been through. Yeah. We're not taught the fundamentals of a real nutritional diet that can actually get us to a healthy place as adults. It's not part of our education system. No. There is a lot of information out there that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of crowdsourcing. There's a lot of misinformation. And it is incredibly difficult to trust yourself enough. Like, I think it's so incredible that you were able to have that switch turn on when you were so young, to literally look at the research articles on your own. Because I can't imagine being in my late teens or early 20s and having that light bulb moment and then doing it and then incorporating it and making it your life. So I guess walk me through the framework you use with your clients. So the actual architecture of the program that you designed that is self-sustaining and enables women to kind of welcome in the mindset that is the foundation of it all.
Yeah. So I always meet someone where they're at. And like I said, a lot of the women that I work with, they have been trying and they've been exercising, usually lifting weights, maybe tracking their food, maybe trying to eat protein. And some have been super consistent. And a lot of the times at that point, they're really restricting their calories and they're not eating enough. I also have women who've never tracked before. Maybe they used to work out, but they kind of fell off. Maybe they had kids, life got really stressful, something crazy happened, and we have to get them back into it. So I have women that are in a lot of different places, but the thought process of where they're currently at and where they want to get to is similar. They don't know how to do it properly, but they want to learn how to do it properly. And by it, I mean change their body composition, have a healthy relationship with food and exercise, and be able to have all this, create a lifestyle that's actually sustainable and not completely take over their life and feel really obsessive. So depending on where they're at, obviously that's how I set up their nutrition, whatever phase they need. If they haven't been eating enough, we do a reverse diet. We spend time at maintenance. We likely need to build some muscle there. If they need to lose body fat, we do that first. So the phase just depends on where they're at. I'm really big on like a phasic approach with your nutrition and your training. With that is like the reverse diet. If our goal is focus on your metabolism, if we need to build muscle or lose body fat, we can focus that specifically. So then all the things that we're doing are helping us get to that goal. And then we can move to that next phase when we're ready for it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of laying the foundation for all of that to happen at first. We have to make sure your metabolism is in a healthy spot. We have to make sure your eating habits are going to be supportive. If you never cook and you just eat out and you get like 30 grams of protein a day, girl, we gotta fix that. You gotta treat your body better.
Yeah.
So we're easing in these different habits and this knowledge and this information so it can become easy and effortless because it shouldn't be like you're pulling teeth to get enough protein in during the day. So it's a lot of focusing on that, the creation of balanced meals, the habits of prepping your food for the week, of being able to plan ahead. And I always say structure is supposed to be supportive, not restrictive. So we're doing this to support you because you've got a lot of other things you got going on in life. And if we can't be consistent with this, we're not going to be consistent with whatever we need to do to lose fat and keep it off or to build the muscle that you say that you want. So we have to have that strong foundation.
Yeah.
And then on the training side of things, that's where a lot of people are like, nah, I'm good with the training. I just need help with the nutrition. And it's like, oh, well, I'm glad that you're consistent and you feel confident. Like we want that first. So we got to get you feeling confident going into the gym and consistent with going. So sometimes that's the first thing we work on. But let's say they already have that, then I'm able to look at where their training is and their programming probably isn't going to be the best exercise selection for their body. So we adjust the design of the workout.
Yeah.
And then we also have to work on not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it. And that's part of this foundational phase too, because just working out is not the same as being able to train in a way that's going to shape your body differently and change your body composition.
And I want to stop you there just to zone in on both the nutrition and the fitness side. So as far as nutrition, when you talk about tracking, what you're referring to is tracking macros because people may know and they may not know. So what is a macro?
So macro is short for macronutrients. Macro means big. Think of like economics. So they're nutrients that your body needs in macro or big quantities. And those are going to be protein, carbs, and fats. Alcohol is technically a macronutrient, but it's not an essential macronutrient, meaning it's not essential to survive. So it is one, but we don't think about that. So we need everybody's body is different depending on where you're currently at, your goals, your exercise, your health, all those things, for the amount of each macro that their body needs to reach their goals and be healthy. And it's not like it's a set number. I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, where they're like, oh my gosh, I was short on my protein today. I'm going to lose all my muscle. It's like, well, no, your body's looking at it collectively and it's more of like a range. I always like to think of things as they're like bumpers for bowling. It's not like a specific thing that we need to hit for most things. It's we've got these bumpers, these kind of guardrails. So as long as we're around here, we're good. We're not going to gutter ball. So being able to understand or have an idea of how many protein and carbs and fats that your body needs, if you spend a little bit of time tracking, you gain so much knowledge. Because like even think about like for you, before you ever tracked, and then you start tracking with a MyFitnessPal or an app. And then you also start using a food scale to learn what serving sizes look like for you. oh my gosh, is your mind so blown?
So blown. But I want to ask you a question because there's a lot of stigma associated with that.
Yeah.
And it's a big lifestyle shift.
Yeah.
Requires slowing down, actually remembering to track in real time so that it can be accurate. So what do you tell clients who are a little bit reticent to take that step into tracking?
If someone is really not ready for it, we'll do something different, even just focusing on the idea of balanced meals. So protein, carb, fat, fruit, or vegetable each time that we eat. And you can use things like a hand portion guide to help eyeball. So like for a female, a serving of protein about the size of your fist is a good amount. Little things like that. You can look up like a hand portion guide online and it's helpful. But we're still just kind of guessing. And the women that I work with, we do add in some form of tracking. And the big thing that I work on with women is not just changing their body composition, because I guess you could say I specialize in that.
Yeah.
Helping them not only lose fat, but build muscle and create like that shape that they're wanting, usually like that hourglass shape. But also helping with that mindset and that relationship with food, because that was a big part of my story that I struggled with that held me back from being able to know how to fuel my body properly, confidently, whether I tracked or not. So we do add in that tracking, and depending on if they've tracked or not before, that kind of determines, do we do calories and protein, and then we add in the macros? Do we start with the macros? And with the food scale and with the tracking in the app, I'm like I said, we're not needing to hit a specific amount. I'm very clear on that. We're not turning this obsessive. It needs to nail it and zero it out, or like the world is going to end or something. So like we're trying to get around these targets. It doesn't need to be perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Perfection doesn't exist anywhere but in your mind is what I tell people. So where it's just like a guide where if you're getting around right here, your body's getting what it needs. And we're thinking of it in a way, it's not that it's restricting us, because no one's making you do this. You're choosing to fuel your body a certain way for a health goal that you have, for a performance goal that you have, for a physical goal that you have, and you're wanting to learn, how do I change these habits and these ways that I was thinking about food previously, which just as you were growing up and growing through life, you kind of learn things. I grew up in Wisconsin. We ate a lot of cheese and casseroles and carbs and not a lot of protein and stuff, because that's just wasn't what my parents knew. That wasn't what I was taught. So it's unlearning all of those things, and it can feel uncomfortable at first to do something different, and there can be some resistance to it.
Yeah.
But I'm so big on we're nourishing your body. I'm very careful with the words that I choose, because we're not doing it to control your body or to restrict your body, where a lot of people will use I used to use tracking like that. That's what I thought it was for.
Yep.
But I'm learning, how do I actually give my body what it needs? And how do I also do that in a way where it's satisfying what I like? And that's why tracking is so powerful, because I learned how to give my body the amount that it needs.
Yeah.
So I no longer second guess every little thing that I eat. Oh my gosh, was that too much? Was it not enough? Am I going to gain weight? Am I going to build muscle? I don't know. And I would go back and forth in my head because I just had no idea what that looked like to fuel my body.
Yep.
So with tracking, you're able to learn the amounts that you need for your body. What does that look like using the foods that you enjoy? What does that look like when you're putting together a meal, when you're thinking of a day of eating? If you're going to go out to eat later, like my husband and I are going to go out to dinner, then I have an idea of how do I kind of order, whether I want to have something more fun, maybe we're going for burgers. And I'm able to think in my head of, okay, so I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of nutrients later. So let me make sure I get a lot earlier in my day.
Yeah.
And maybe I won't get as much protein, so I'll make sure I get enough so my body's fueled the way it needs to.
Yeah.
So it's helping us learn, how do you fuel your body in a way that actually fits into your lifestyle and also honors your body and the nutrients and everything that it needs, because they don't tell us just to eat healthy fats or protein or fruits and veggies like for funsies if you feel like it.
Yeah.
Your body literally needs that to be healthy and survive.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of that is you learn what a serving size actually looks like for your body. And we're doing all of this like objectively. We're not tying emotion into this. It's your body that you are in and spending the rest of your life in. How do you fuel it properly? And it can look different every single day. But if you don't know what that looks like, if you don't have like an actual like measurement that you've kind of figured out for yourself, you're just guessing. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm now able to eyeball and I have an idea of if I'm giving my body what it needs or not. I don't need to perfectly track every calorie or macro in my head. Like, I don't need to do that. But I'm able to go throughout my day, even if I'm not tracking or if I'm eating out or I'm traveling, and I have an idea of where I'm at.
Yeah. And you need the tracking in order to learn.
Yeah.
And then, so you had just mentioned when you were talking about the architecture of your program, working out versus training.
Yes.
And I think that is something I'd love to go deeper in with you.
Yeah.
But when we talk about goals,
Yeah.
so I guess my question is twofold. The difference between working out and training and tailoring all of these things that you work on with your clients to their specific goals and to their lifestyles.
Yeah. So I love this question. My emphasis for my degree is in exercise science. So like love all the programming and training things. So working out is just exercising, and that could be anything.
Yeah.
Training is, think of it like in terms of an athlete. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. You are training for a specific outcome. So I always say, if you want to be the best soccer player ever, you're not going to practice that by going for hot girl walks and shooting free throws and playing hopscotch. I don't know. Like, you got to do specific things for soccer to get good at that.
Yes.
For that skill. You have to train for it. So if you want to change your body composition, if you want more muscle, if you want firmer glutes, if you want toned arms, if you want a little bit of definition on your back for when you wear a strapless dress, you need to train a specific way. Just exercising isn't going to make your body magically say, oh my gosh, she's doing this workout class and I know that she wants me to grow her glutes, so I'm going to just grow her glutes for her, if you're not doing anything meaningful to grow your glutes in it. So when we're training for a specific goal, we have to think of for how your body needs to adapt and change to like physiologically get to that point. What does that need to look like?
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, if they want that toned look, if they want nice glutes or arms, like I was talking about, you need muscle. And a lot of women are under-muscled. And I mean, people in general under-muscled and overfed. But a lot of women are under-muscled. So they don't have as much muscle as they need to create that look. And the idea of how much muscle they think they need is usually a lot less than what they actually need to look like how they want. Like, you're not just going to lift for a year and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this amazing toned body. It's like, well, you're going to see some great changes, but you probably need to do it a little bit longer to
for
get
a
to
long
that point.
time.
You go to that person in the gym where you're like, you look amazing. How long have you been working out? Someone asked me that today. I was like, I've been working out for 10 years. It did not happen in a year or two. That would have been cool if it did. But you have to understand the strategy of how to get your body from where it is to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
And you use the science to help you understand how do I do that.
So that's my next question.
Yes.
Another twofold question. So I'd love to hear how both of these huge buckets tie together. So basically the process of muscle synthesis, which you and I have talked about before, how the macros and the training come together to build muscle. And then the second layer for the question is, you know, a lot of women think that adding muscle is going to make them look bulky. And that's not the case. So to explain the science behind that, and like you said, a lot of women are under-muscled, and it's I mean, it's no one's fault. I certainly never understood this.
No one told
us. And it took me
us.
decades to get to the point where I'm like, oh, muscle is actually the key to everything I want.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. Diet culture has just been telling us to lose fat, and that's all the magazines tell us, right?
Yeah.
Nobody actually tells us to build muscle.
Yeah.
So that's why this is so important. So your first question with how the training and the nutrition tie into it. On the nutrition standpoint, in order to build muscle, I think we all know we need protein. We need enough protein. If we just get a little bit of protein, like, well, I ate some protein today. Well, if you didn't have enough, your body needs protein for other things other than just your muscles.
Yeah.
I know that's the thing people talk about the most, but it's actually used in a lot of different things in your body.
And what's enough?
Enough is, what the research tells us is if we're about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of your body weight is a good amount. And I want people to be careful here, because they'll just say that, and they'll say per their body weight. Now, if someone has maybe 150 pounds to lose, they're not going to eat as much protein as their body weight. They would go off of what we say is your lean body mass. Think of like lean muscle, your lean body mass. So it'd be like what your goal weight would be without the fat and just the muscle. So you'd go base off of that for your protein. I actually like to have, depending on the individual, to have their protein a little bit higher, maybe closer to like 1.2 grams per pound. If they're leaner, they're more of an athlete and they have more of those advanced goals and they train very advanced. It's not absolutely necessary. But depending on the person, sometimes I bring it up to there. But a good rule is a gram per pound. So we need enough muscle to do that, or enough protein, to do that. We also need enough calories, because I like to think of calories, like in this instance, kind of like money. So let's say you are making just enough money to like squeak by and make rent every month. Like you're like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but like we made it. We're okay. We're not going to get evicted. You're not saving anything. You can't. Let's say now you finally start making more money. Now you can afford all those, totally fine. You're comfortable. And you can put money in savings now, which is what your goal was. If we are not eating enough calories, like if you're eating super, super low, which is what a lot of women do, your body barely has enough to keep the lights on, like to just keep things running. That's why you feel exhausted. That's why you maybe have brain fog. That's why maybe you lose your cycle or you have issues with your hormones, because your body says, we don't have enough to afford all these. These are almost like luxuries right now. Like we just got to keep you alive. We can't build muscle. Like we don't have enough for that. But now you finally start eating enough calories to support that. And your body finally says, okay, just like we could put money in savings, we had enough left over. Now we actually have enough calories to keep you alive and do all of these things, and also build additional muscle onto your body. Yeah. So we need enough calories and enough protein to build muscle.
And the fat, and then calories, you're talking about carbs and fat.
All of it, yes. They're all going to make up to it. And then on the training side of things, in order to build muscle, like I said, just working out or just having the muscle work is not the same as having the stimulus required to build muscle. So something like with Pilates, which is amazing for like core strength and posture and all of those things, but it's not providing a meaningful stimulus in order to build muscle, because just fatiguing the muscle is not the same as overloading and getting that muscle to failure. So that is what the research shows us, is we need to apply resistance to that muscle enough and get that muscle very close or to failure in order for your body to essentially say, okay, she is, especially if we keep doing it week after week like we're supposed to, right? We progressively overload, which we can get to. She keeps using her muscle and like we can't really do it. Like if you're hitting failure, it means you can't do it. Or if you're almost hitting failure, like you could barely complete that last rep, your body was like, that was close. Yeah. But we can't stay how we are because she keeps doing this thing and we can't do it.
It makes me think of that video you posted when you're at the gym and you were doing reps. I think it was like an overhead machine. It was recently, and you're like, I got that last rep, by the way. You put it in the caption, and I watched till the end. I'm like, I want to make sure she got it.
A slow rep because you fight for it. Yeah. So what that's telling your body when you are fighting for that rep and you could barely do it, you're telling your body you are not strong enough and you do not have enough muscle in order to keep up with what I'm asking you to do.
Oh, that's so interesting. I've never heard you explain it that way. That is really enlightening.
Yeah. So your body always, homeostasis. Yeah. Your body always wants you to stay at homeostasis. It just wants to keep you alive, keep you good. Like we're not stressing, we're not struggling. It does not want that for you. So working out is technically a stress on your body. It's a good stress as long as we're not doing too much of it. It's positive stress, but we're stressing our muscles essentially to the point where it cannot complete or almost cannot complete a rep. So your body therefore says, okay, in order for us to not be stressed and to not struggle as much, I need to get stronger and I need to build more muscle so I can withstand this better. So next time you do it, it won't be as hard. So that's why we also need to progressively overload, because your body does adapt. It does get stronger. It does build muscle. And now that weight that used to be really hard is no longer hard anymore. Yeah. And if you keep doing the thing that's not hard, your body does not have a reason to change. So that's one of the big things that I focus on with my new clients is I say, I want you to film yourself at the gym, which is a tool just like any other lifting belt or something in your in your gym bag. It's not just for influencers to film their workouts. It's for you to check and see, is my form good, and am I actually pushing myself hard enough? Because maybe it feels hard in your head, and then you watch the video back and you're like, yeah, I didn't look like I was struggling. The last reps looked the same as the first reps, and like I could have kept going. So I have clients send me videos, and we're able to adjust their form so they're actually using the right muscle. Because if we're not using the right muscle, we're not really growing that muscle. Make sure we're not going too fast, because let's say you're just flinging it around. Okay, gravity, momentum are doing the work for the muscle. We make sure we're getting the proper range of motion. A lot of people aren't. Okay, we're not getting the full like stretch and the squeeze that we're supposed to. And then we make sure we're actually training hard enough. And that's like the order that I go in. So we work on the form to target the muscle. We work on the tempo, so we're not going too fast. We focus on the range of motion, so we're not cheating it. And then we focus on the intensity. We got to have all those before the intensity. You're going to hurt yourself or like not do it right. And intensity just is we have to push hard enough. So we're getting close to failure. And the research shows that as long as we're within 1 in 3 reps of true failure, we're good. The issue with that is most people don't actually know what failure's like. It starts to burn or it starts to get hard, and your brain tells you, oh, this is hard. Ooh, this burns. You should be done. You should stop. So people stop. Or because their rep range just said 10 to 12, so they got to 12 and they just stop. But their muscle wasn't actually close enough or at failure for it to cause that change to happen. So when they're sending those videos, I'm able to see kind of where their intensity is and help teach them how to push themselves hard, which I love, because usually people think, oh, I need an in-person trainer to push me hard. It's like, you can push yourself hard. I can teach you how to do that. And then you don't need to pay someone, $200 an hour to just watch you train, maybe be on their phone a little bit.
Yeah, it's so interesting because before working with you, tracking macros, using a food scale, having these weekly check-ins, which is also obviously a part of the architecture of your program as a coach, training at the gym, and for some reason for me, figuring out how to use the machines and set it up and figure out what weight I was going to do reps at, and filming myself, taking pictures of myself, all that stuff was like on the other side of the door that I locked and walked away from. You know, it was just things that I never thought I would do. And those are just means to an end, right? Those are means to get you where you want to go, and they're tools. And I think like the mindset shifts about how much you want your goal. How much do you want to be healthy? How much do you want to build muscle and lose fat? How much do you want to actually like serve this body, like you said, that we actually get the privilege to exist in? It starts to awaken a new way of moving through life. And it is such a gift, but it is really easy to get caught in the weeds of maybe being scared to take these steps. And so I want to shift to a little bit of a different kind of question type. How, when we're talking about the kind of women or the emotions that they might feel that form the motivation to work with you, how would you describe the women who typically come to you as clients? Like, what are they chasing? What are they frustrated with? What are their habits? And what is their mindset when they come to you for that intro call?
So a lot of times they'll usually find me on Instagram, and I'm sharing a lot of information about being able to eat more and feel confident around food and not stress about it, and have, you know, a leaner, more toned body composition.
And that is how I also found you. So I am one of those.
And sharing that, because that's what I think, like, those were all of what my goals were. So I'm really talking to women who are just like where I was before, where it's not that I wasn't trying. I was trying, but I didn't know what to do. And I knew where I wanted to get to. I wanted that strong, fit, healthy, capable body. I wanted a healthy relationship with food. And I would see all these girls on social media that looked incredible and toned and fit. And they were eating a lot of food. And at that point, I was not. I was restricting. And I was so stressed about all these things. And they just seemed like they could love life and just enjoy life in this body they were working so hard for and to take care of. So that's what made me want to do this. So I share that now, being able to show women that there's another way. You don't have to restrict. You don't have to obsess. You don't have to do a ton of cardio. And you don't have to have the mindset of, oh, it's all too hard. It's all too confusing. I'm just not going to try because I'm sorry, but every single person deserves to understand how to have a healthy body and fuel their body, because you're going to be hopefully moving and exercising as long as you can. And you're going to be eating food for the rest of your life. And I want everybody to feel confident with how to do that and confident in their body. Say you get dressed and you just put on one outfit and you maybe it's not the vibe, so you change the vibe, but like you feel good in your clothes, right? And you don't think about that, or you go somewhere and you're not worried about how you look, or you're not shying away from photos to capture the memory, or you go out to eat with people you haven't seen in a while and you understand how to navigate that situation. So sharing those kind of things and just showing that not only can you get the physical result, but you can also get the mental result in that relationship with yourself that you're craving too. Yeah. So that's a lot of, like, I guess like the deeper part of, because it's not just like macros and workouts. So I share a lot of that. So that's what I work on with the women that I get to work with.
Yeah. When a client works with you the way that the program is designed to work, the ramp up, the fundamentals, the mindset shifts, what does that actually look like in practice? I mean, you just touched on it a tiny bit, but in every facet.
Yeah. So I'll set up their starting targets depending on where they're at. So we obviously have usually like an hour-long Zoom call as I'm just getting to know them to decide, can I help you with your goals? Are we a good fit? Do you feel comfortable with me? Because we're going to form a really close relationship as we work together.
Yeah.
So when we decide that that is a good fit on all fronts, then we proceed and we work together, just like we did. And I use the information from that call. I have them fill out a questionnaire. Like, I'm really, really detailed with stuff. And I like to make everything extremely detailed and specific to that individual, because then I'm doing someone a disservice if I'm just, what maybe some people would do is they kind of send the same generic whatever out to everybody. That's not teaching this person how to go from where you are specifically to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
So we'll set up their starting targets depending on what they need. And that's like their nutrition, their workouts, their habits, all of that. And we build off of there. I don't want everything to feel super overwhelming, like we're changing everything at once. So they can feel empowered and see that, okay, I made this change. And we'll have check-ins either each week or sometimes every other week, depending on the client. And with those check-ins, they're answering some questions for me about their biofeedback. So how was your digestion? How did your workouts feel? How did you sleep? How's your recovery? How's your body doing, essentially? Your body's talking to us with this information, so I'm reading what it's telling us, because our body can't actually use words. And just seeing how was their mindset. If it's something with food, that's a big one that we work on. So what went on? What were some positive wins? What are some things that we want to talk about a little bit more? What are things that are coming up that we want to plan for that I can support you with?
Yeah.
What are some wins that we had that week so people can work on that positive self-talk? So I'm looking at all that information. So that's having the client have that reflection moment with themselves. Because I think a big thing of just people in general, but even on their fitness journey too, they're so disconnected from themselves and from their body.
So disconnected. And also, it's so funny because I wanted to bring up the check-ins. Yeah. And I know that you know that for me, it's been a real inflection point, because it is so rare that from week to week, you are looking back in a comprehensive way. And we just had a very poignant experience like this in my last check-in, where you move through difficulty in your life, and there's highs and there's lows. But what I think I've learned in terms of treatment of fitness and nutrition in my life is that it is a non-negotiable. I can be sitting in the parking lot in my car in the gym, and I could think to myself, I don't want to go in there, or I'm feeling a little bit lazy, or I'm feeling a little bit tired. But that voice does not get loud enough for it to be an excuse for me not to go in there. It is a non-negotiable. It is not something I debate. Do I need to work out today to finish my week? Yes, I'm going in. And I'm going to be dedicated to my nutrition. And so you start to make these things unquestionable. They are part of the fabric of how you move through the day. And in those weeks where things get a little bit more difficult, you have a moment where you can reflect and be really proud of yourself that just for the last 7 days, you did what you said you were going to do. You treated your body and your mind and your commitments and your integrity with respect. And you can't buy that. Like that is invaluable. That is something that solidifies and strengthens your relationship with yourself, which in turn solidifies and strengthens your mindset around the skills that you're building, which has an effect on your body physically. So it's a feedback loop, and you're reinforcing that as the coach, and you're like guiding your client to come to that on their own.
Yeah.
And I just think it is the most empowering thing that you can do for yourself to really get a handle on what fitness and nutrition looks like for you. And obviously this working with you has changed my life in innumerable ways. I recognize that tracking macros and training at the gym isn't accessible for every single person. But there's no one size fits all in health and wellness. This is just a really empowering, amazing step that you can take for yourself to work with a coach, especially a coach like you.
Absolutely. And I think also, because like the weeks where you showed up and you did what you said you were going to do, like we celebrate the heck out of those.
Yeah.
Because the mindset, the habits, the routines, all of those things, like that deserves so much recognition for what you put in that work for yourself. I gave you the plan, but I couldn't do any of the work.
Yeah.
But then even on the weeks where it didn't go to plan, where something came up or maybe you overate a little bit or whatever happened, being able to talk about that in an objective way and not making it this emotional thing about yourself, not making it something where you say, oh, well, screw it, like that all or nothing kind of mindset. And we self-sabotage and understanding that's also part of life. Like this is, my job is health and fitness. And I still have times where I eat a little more ice cream than I planned to and my stomach hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Or work is absolutely insane and I didn't get all my workouts in. Like that happens. And being able to talk through that and like that's just a part of life. And saying, okay, well, how do we adjust our plan? Because we can adjust and we can pivot. Or the biggest thing that we can do is let's reflect on it and say, did I make the best choice that I could in the situation that I was in with the information that I had? If I did, and it wasn't perfectly on plan, who cares? You did literally the best that you could and you did the best by yourself and that's all that matters. If you didn't, there's a reason for it, and that's neither good nor bad. We're able to look at it without the emotion and say, okay, so what actually happened? What were we thinking? What was the environment that we were in? Is there something that we could learn from this? And you could say, hey, if I was in a similar situation, tomorrow, maybe I have an idea of what I would do that was maybe a little bit more of an aligned decision. So we're grateful for those weeks too, because we're able to talk about it, not make it mean something about ourselves, learn from it, not shame ourselves for it, not think, oh my gosh, I failed, I have to start over. Simply just saying I can learn and I can take this and I can grow from it and just move on.
Yeah.
And I think those weeks are more powerful. And I tell clients, if it wasn't a great week, that's especially when I want to hear from you, because I want to support you through that.
And I think that there's a big piece as well, saying as part of the check-ins, it's kind of like saying or writing these things out loud quiets the shame a little bit. It kind of turns down the volume on the shame. And I think shame and fear and doubt are so pervasive when it comes to our relationships with our bodies. And in turn, our relationships with the food that we eat and how we move, when we move. Do we move enough? Are we doing everything that we should be doing to have this ostensibly healthy lifestyle without ever having the foundational knowledge or instruction as to what that looks like for us? So how do you work with fear and doubt when that comes up in terms of someone on any step of the journey with you? And how does the mindset work with fear and doubt that you're trying to install in like the programs in your clients' minds?
Yeah. So it depends on the situation and it depends on the individual. So I'm very empathetic and I just care a lot about people. And I've always loved psychology and understanding mindset and behavior and the subconscious mind and habits and everything that goes into it. So I'm not just going to tell someone, oh, just try harder, or like, oh, it's okay. Like, we're going to get a little bit more into the weeds of that, of whatever their fear is or whatever they're doubting. And if we need to adjust the plan a little bit, then we will. If we need to have one little thing that we focus on that next week, then we can.
Yeah.
But I guess it just depends. But my goal is to not let those hold someone back, because what a shame it is to go through life and have this fear or this doubt that you don't think that you can do that thing that you want to get to the other side, to the goal that you want.
Yeah.
And if all that's in place is some fear or some doubt, it might feel like a little bit of a mountain to climb, but you can overcome that. So to help empower people and see that, like, we can get through this, or maybe I've been through that too, and telling you, hey, it was hard, but like, I got through this, and like, I'm better on the other side of it. And helping them with the mindset piece especially is so big. And that's why, like, the fear and the doubt, or all of those things that go into it, that's why mindset is so important. And it's really hard to be able to see progress within a fitness journey or lifestyle if you don't address the mindset things first. Because you could have the perfect plan, but if you have the fear and the doubt and all those things showing up, it's going to pull you off track of that plan, and it's not going to let you show up in the way that you know that you could to be able to see those through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important. And I also think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the mindset that you encourage your clients to inhabit around food and nutrition, and this positive reinforcement loop that you are encouraging to be set up between doing what you say you're going to do, having a body that essentially announces to the world that you care about yourself and you have respect for who you are. I think all of those kind of set the stage for developing a really good sense of what works for you. Like, it helps you develop your internal compass, and it helps you understand who you are without the noise or the extra energy you're wondering or putting into, was what you ate enough? Was what you ate not enough? Did you train right? You have a little bit more clarity and room to lock into that connection to yourself. And so in your opinion, like, how does a woman figure out what's actually true for her in this space? Health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, that's just like so loud, but can be very contradictory.
Yeah. I think knowledge is always the first place that we need to go to, and we got to be careful where we're getting that from. Like, I know a lot of people get information from TikTok or even like Instagram or things like that. And there are people who are giving good information on there. I'm not saying that there's not, but there's also a lot of people who might not be, especially because nowadays with the algorithm, like I was talking about this other day, when I first started posting things on social media, there were no reels. You would post a photo, and I would post some educational caption about healthy fats, why they were important, what they do for your body, the different types, and some food sources that you could incorporate. And like, that was that.
Yeah.
And now it's this, I call it like a monkey dance to try to get a hold of the algorithm and get someone's attention and get this and get that. And we kind of just lost the plot of it, of just being able to connect. So that isn't always my favorite place for people to go for information. So if you're going to go for some knowledge, go somewhere like a podcast or YouTube or a course, or if there is a coach or someone like that, that you know it's coming from this reputable source, that they have like the experience or it might not always be formally trained education. That obviously helps. But I know people who also don't have like a specific degree, but because of the mentorships and the people that they've worked with and the continuing education and stuff, like, they absolutely know what they're talking about and are rooted in like true science. But being able to find a place where you can get that knowledge is so important, because then you can take the knowledge and the science and then you can apply that to you, and you can adjust it as much as you need to from there. And if you are going to go to social media, finding someone who not only shares the knowledge but also shows how to implement it, I think is also helpful. So being able to see, what does it look like for someone to have this lifestyle, to train like that, to fuel their body like that. I think being able to see that, number one, normalizes it, because if you don't currently live your life like that, if no one in your family or your immediate friend circle lives their life like that, it can be kind of hard to figure out not only what to do, but also to be consistent with it. So that's where I think social media can be helpful, and that's why I loved it so much when I was first getting into fitness. Is, again, growing up in Wisconsin, nobody cared about that. Nobody else tracked their food. Nobody thought about their protein like that. Nobody like lifted super consistently. So I found all these people on social media that I would consume their content and I would learn a little bit from it. I wasn't getting all my knowledge from there. Like I said, I wanted to be careful of where I got it from because I did that initially and it took me down the wrong path with my relationship with food. But being able to see that more so as an example of just how somebody lives a lifestyle where they love taking care of their body and they love being active and they love challenging themselves and they love fueling their body properly. I think that that is super invaluable because if you see that, it normalizes it. You get the examples. Your brain kind of is like, okay, that's like what people do. You know, that's not like super weird that I want to do that. Like you see all of these people on social media doing it. So for you, then it starts to become your normal. And then it's easy. So then for me now, I can go around people and eat how I eat or train how I train, and I don't think anything of it, even though it's probably pretty different than what most people do. But before, that was really hard. So I think having that, or if you've got other people in your life, or that's why a coach is also nice because you have someone to talk to about these things.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because having a coach isn't accessible for everyone. Sometimes it's not necessarily even the right choice for everyone.
Yeah.
So what is optimal about working with a coach, and when should someone take that step seriously?
So working with a good coach who is knowledgeable and truly cares about their clients as more than just a number, I think that's really important. And it depends on what you want to get out of it. Because there are people who are maybe just setting your macros and giving you just a workout plan. Maybe it's generic, maybe it's not. And there isn't a whole lot more to it. And for some people, that's all that they need.
Yeah.
They just need the structure. They need some accountability.
And some people thrive like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they I just actually had no idea how to eat or train, and it just gave me a plan, and that's all I needed. And it can be either generic or it could be a little bit more advanced. Like I would say how I program things is a little bit more advanced now, especially from when I started. I just learned more.
Yeah.
And I understand how those things can really, truly help people get the results that they want easier and make it more enjoyable. But when if you want to work with a coach, and you can decide, I guess some people specialize in different things too. So like I said, I work a lot on that body recomposition for females, being able to have more of that toned look, going through those phases to get there, and having a healthy relationship with food. Like those are kind of my main things that I focus on. So finding someone that aligns with what you personally want help with, not only where you're at, but where you want to be able to get to. And if you want someone that gives you the accountability, for some people, the accountability is really big because you know that they are looking at, like I look at my clients' nutrition logs. Not only did they hit their macros, but also, are you eating quality foods, or are you just getting takeout and eating processed stuff? Because I'm going to talk to you about that.
Yep.
Because your body doesn't appreciate you not giving it the nutrients that it needs. So giving you that oversight and teaching you. So I'm also really big on teaching my clients as we go, just from week to week. If there's something relevant to bring up, like I educate them on it and we talk about it. And that's where, for a lot of the women that I work with, I get a lot of they express a lot of gratitude because I help them understand how to fuel their body, how to exercise, and I empower them with the knowledge. So not only can I give them the results that they came to me for, but they know how to maintain that on their own. That's my promise to everybody when we are on that initial call is I am not your coach. If you just want me to bark some orders at you and you don't want to learn in the process and you just want the results as fast as possible, I'm going to help you do this the right way, the healthy way, the sustainable way. And I'm going to teach you along the way. So maybe my looms are a little long as I'm educating you on things. And I want to make sure that I'm giving you every tool for your toolbox. So when I send you off on your own, not only do you feel confident in your body, but you feel confident in your relationship with food and your lifestyle and your habits and your knowledge. So you can maintain that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think drawing from my personal experience, I just got to the point where I was so frustrated and so misinformed and didn't know where to turn. And it felt like, at second glance, like I really needed that accountability, and I did need that teacher because the foundation that I had built, any, tiny little skill that I had on was so shaky. And I think it also helps too, like everyone has such unique circumstances. For me, you know, I was teaching in a hot room 6, 7 classes a week. I was not necessarily doing the entire class with my students, but I was demoing and walking around, and that was energy expenditure. And I think that that kind of pushed me over the edge and not really understanding how to feel my body, because that was such an imperative change in my life that required me to have the energy that I wouldn't have needed otherwise. It was a big change. And there were a lot of things that drew me to this commitment to having a coach. But I also think just finally getting my mindset right, getting the hang of what health looks like, what body recomp looks like. I didn't know anything about that. And it does kind of seem like the word body recomposition seems like kind of intense if you've just been lifting 5-pound weights, streaming a workout class, or like going to a studio and you're not necessarily well versed. But it is training, and it is foundational building blocks of nutrition as well. And I just think if you're going all in on yourself, having a coach is so helpful. If you want to be that advanced, if you want to be able to fine tune things, if you have, you know, changes in your health that you're looking forward to, or you understand that maybe your day-to-day looks different than most, and where you get normal information from a trusted source of education might need a little bit more nuance than what you can learn from like a textbook or a research paper.
And it's also like for the accountability aspect, and it's not just for that part is not just for people who like struggle to be consistent. It's like I'm very consistent, but I'm in a very busy season of life right now.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, if something's going to slip, it's going to be me. I'm going to put myself on the back burner. And that's also a standard that I have that I don't do that. So I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to take care of myself and keep my goals at the forefront. So I actually just rehired a coach. For a while, I didn't have one because I don't need someone to tell me how to eat or train. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But if I have someone setting it for me, I'm now accountable to them. I want to make sure I made this commitment that I was going to check in, that I was going to do my training, that I was going to hit my nutrition targets, that I was going to do the things that we'd agreed. This is what my goals are. You're helping me set this up. So it's making me accountable to that. And then I also get to save as many brain cells as possible, not having to think about what to do.
And I also think that that is such a amazing, humbling kind of learning, is that no matter how much you know, no matter how much you learn, no matter how advanced you get, coaches need coaches. You know, I teach yoga, and I am very alive to the fact that like having a coach in you has changed the way I move through the world in every setting I find myself in. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like to have the humility to outsource and to use that accountability measure as a really robust anchor for you is such a gift. And so any stigma about working with a coach or taking a chance and investing in yourself, like if you invest in yourself and you go all the way, you're never going to regret it.
No.
And I think that that is such an important concept. Sometimes as women, we tend to like make ourselves small, or to think we don't need this or we don't need that, or we're not worth doing X, Y, Z. But really, by taking a chance on yourself and betting that you can do what you say you're going to do, you don't know what's on the other side of that. And it is something beyond your wildest dreams.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I think if there is like a stigma that people maybe have about having a coach and investing in yourself, and maybe where people are, the culture where they're from, maybe people don't invest in themselves as much. So I know like for me, small town Wisconsin, people didn't do that as much.
Yeah.
So I personally moved as far south as I could to somewhere where that was a little bit more normal, but quote unquote normal. I don't really care about being normal. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that I guess is the thing for me where I never thought that was weird when I hired my first coach, because I just have this innate belief in myself of if I want something, I'm going to figure it out. and I'm going to make it work. And why would I feel like I have to do it all on my own if I know that there is someone who has the exact result, like information and everything that I need to be able to help me hit the goals that I want?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do my own hair. I would fry it off. I'm going to go pay somebody to do my hair for me.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that there's someone who could help me reach the goals and make it as easy of a process and enjoyable of a process as possible, why would I not invest in that? Why would I not think that I deserve that?
Yeah, that's 100%. I guess to wrap up, what's like one key takeaway that you take with you and every step of your health journey that you've learned through coaching or that you've learned on your own personal journey? Like, what is the overriding theme, or what is something you always come back to? And it can be anything from a mantra to a fact to many facts, anything.
The one that's coming to my mind right now is the phrase, the only way out is through. So that was really big for me. I looking back, I've kind of lived my life like that, where like if I want something or if something's scary or whatever, like I'm just going to have to get through it. Like I'm going to survive. It's going to be terrifying going through it, or it's going to be hard. But when I was going through some pretty bad health stuff that were actually a result of not nourishing my body and training and things properly. So like there's real repercussions for not doing this right. And all of that. But my health was really bad. And I just remember I'd be on the floor in pain crying every single day, or I lost all of the muscle that I'd spent years building. I couldn't function as a human. Like it was awful. It was like the worst year of my life. It's actually when I met my husband at the time, and he is such an angel. I would not have made it through it without him. But every single day I would either say in my head or out loud, the only way out is through. Because I was going through a bunch of protocols and health things to be able to fix all the stuff that I didn't know I was breaking.
Yeah.
And it was awful. But the only way to get to the other side of it was just to keep showing up and doing these things that were really hard. And I knew they weren't immediately getting me the results. But if I wanted those results, I just had to show up and do that. So even like at the gym, let's say you got to go do a leg day and you're like, I'm so tired. I don't want to go do a leg day right now. Okay, well, the only way out is through.
Yeah.
If I get through this leg day, it's going to end. I'm going to be so proud of myself. And to get the glutes that I want, I got to go do that leg day.
Yeah.
And I got to go train hard. So the only way to get there is to push through it. And if you can learn how to do that in any area of your life, that's what's going to help you get to where you want to be, whether that's with your body, whether that's with business, whether that's with just relationships, having a hard conversation, whatever it is. The only way out is through. If you keep avoiding it or not doing the hard work or not showing up, you're never going to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah. I mean, I love that because the name of this podcast is The Through Line.
Yeah.
And I find that so touching because I think I've said that in my life too, and I definitely love that quote.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of go through the messy middle in order to get to the other side. And there's really no shortcuts if what you want to do is worthwhile, right? Like if you lock into a goal and something really speaks to you and you know that it's right for you in your gut, you're going to do whatever it takes to get there, even when you don't feel like it. And there's going to be a lot of times when you don't feel like it.
There's going to be a lot of times.
Yeah. So I am with you on that. I love that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For being my first guest.
How did I do? Okay.
Fabulous. But I just want to ask where people can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Laini Jojo. And my YouTube is Laini Gibson. My podcast is Her Revival.
Yes. And if I can turn anyone on to one episode, I think it's one episode, I loved the episode where you go into detail about your personal journey. I just thought it was so enlightening, and I loved learning more about your past in a very detailed way. And so, I mean, if you want to go check out Laini's podcast, that is a beautiful episode to just really get to know her on a deeper level.
I love to be able to just pour into people with the knowledge, the mindset, because I love podcasts. I love a podcast.
Me too.
If you can't tell. So just being able to connect more with people and just get more. That's why people are here too, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.